Well, you should be. Catanzaro will kick off. They won a competition in camp, and deep back is Brandon Tate. He's been around the NFL. He lets it fly out of bounds and out of the end zone. A touchback to the 25. He's got McCoy in the backfield, and the tight end is Clay. He'll go right to work and being pursued by Coney Ely, and there goes Tyrod Taylor and throwing it away on first down.
Containing LeSean McCoy.
Second down and 10. This is McCoy. Over 1,200 rushing yards a season ago. Safeties Jamal Adams and Marcus May, and they've been the talk of camp. 3rd and 7 for Tyrod Taylor. He's got the first down. That is Clay.
Hey, what is that?
Jets with 4 in the secondary. 1st and 10, LeSean McCoy.
Holding. Offense number 64. 10-yard penalty. First down.
That is the left guard, Richie Incognito.
2 seasons. And it's not just LeSean McCoy, it's also Tyrod Taylor.
Into the nickel, ball was tipped incomplete.
At the wide receiver position.
Burris is coming in the nickel for the Jets. 2nd down and 20 for Taylor. Gets it off to LeSean McCoy. Makes him miss. LeSean McCoy, he's gained more yards from scrimmage than any other player the last couple years in the NFL, and weaving his way for 21.
Difficult tackle in the open field.
Mike Tolbert is in, the former Carolina Panther, and he'll take it up the middle. Into the secondary, brought down by Adams. A big-time run on 1st and 10 of 16, and Buffalo down to the Jets 32.
Tackle to tackle runner.
He stays in here with the 1st and 10. Tolbert again. And brought down in the play by Claude Pallone on a gain of 4. Back in. 2nd down and 6. This is McCoy. Down to about the 24-yard line.
The strengths of a quarterback like Tyrod Taylor.
Into the nickel, 3rd and 3. The elusive Tyrod Taylor. Rookie Zay Jones with the block and out of bounds. Another first down. They work their way to the 15. A pickup of 10, Rich.
Hey, baby!
4 in the secondary. It is a first down and 10. McCoy missed tackles and down to the 5. First and goal at the 5. Opening drive of the game. Over 5 minutes. McCoy, good block by Clay, then closing the door right there within a flag has been thrown.
Holding. Defense number 98. Penalties enforced half the distance to the goal. Automatic. First down.
That's Mike Pennell on the 11th play of the drive. October. Oh, Redwell. Beautiful play that time by Josh Martin. I can see they loaded up that left side with a couple tight ends. 2nd down and goal. Opening drive. Taylor. Out down. Pretty play that time by Muhammad Wilkerson. We saw Josh McCown watching from the sideline. Tyrod Taylor to the end zone. Intercepted. It's picked off on the play. Justin Burris with blockers ahead and runs into his own man, but he got it out. A red zone pick. Was the ball knocked free? Flag is thrown. And you can see coming up with it is the lineman, Cordy Glenn, the left tackle.
He doesn't know he's down.
No.
Whether or not.
The ruling on the field is an interception. The Jets then were down by contact. Personal foul. Defense number 58. That penalty will be enforced. 15 yards from the down by contact spot. First down. Timeout.
The shot that draws the penalty.
Go!
First down and 10, Josh McCown. Forte was in the backfield, and outside they go here for Robbie Anderson, who's now taking on an expanded role. It's a gain of 3 right there.
Red 80! Brings it!
With a 2nd down and 7. It's Forte, the 31-year-old running back who tries to take it in. McCown will look into the nickel. Nice catch, tough one too. Ardarius Stewart with coverage on the play by E.J. Gaines on a gain of 2. They got a rookie at one of the corners, Tre'Davious White. The punt here by Edwards. And deep back is Brandon Tate. There is a breeze of about 11 miles an hour. And Tate will try to work the sideline, and out of bounds he goes right about the 20-yard line. Our drive, they tell us, first down and 10 after the punt. 3 and out by the Jets, and Taylor to the end. That's caught by the rookie, Zay Jones, out of East Carolina. 2nd round pick. Whoops. Somebody moved there on that line, the tight end. Looks like he moved Clay.
Full start. Offense. Number 85. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Getting the right people.
McCoy on 1st and 15. Looking for a block from Miller. Not much there. Pressure up the middle from Ely. A guy from Carolina who was under McDermott. Running out of bounds. Forced out by Darren Lee.
The field a season ago.
Taylor into the nickel. Now stays alive. McCoy makes a miss. Stanford couldn't get him down. Gets 5 and brought down on the play by Demario Davis. Schmidt's going to punt. Lee Freeman is deep back. Beautiful height on this one. They'll catch signaled for in the water. Forte was back there. After the punt by Buffalo. McCown across the middle. Curse. A lot of new parts. 2nd down and 6. Forte pulling his Carpenter. Drilled by, again, Ramon Humber.
Holding. Offense, number 83. 10-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Tight end Eric Tomlinson.
There's off of waivers. You bring in Jermaine Curse. You bring in Jeremy Curley.
2nd and 16 here for Forte. Not much doing. Hit by a couple, including Poyer. Gain of 2. On the last couple years in Cleveland. Before that, Tampa. 3rd and 14. They need the 26. Robbie Anderson, 2nd catch. Drilled. The Australian will punt for a 2nd time. 2 possessions. 2 3-and-outs for New York. Brandon Tate was back. Retrieves at about the 27-yard line. Flag thrown.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both by the receiving team. Illegal block in the back, number 36. That penalty is declined. Illegal block in the back, number 17. That penalty will be enforced. 10 yards from the spot of the foul. First down. Timeout.
The 1st and 10. McCoy and clogged up right there.
Force him. He's not a very tall quarterback, Kevin. Make him sit in there and make a difficult throw.
Into the nickel. Incomplete. Clay may have gotten a glove on it. Tolbert is in. Nickel remains 3rd and 11. They pinch him. And it's caught. What a catch made by Jordan Matthews.
Matthews open in the middle of the field.
Here's Tolbert with the DeMarco block. And he was belted pretty quickly there by Pallone. Gain of 6 on the play. Rich out to the 42-yard line.
Short yardage and goal
There's
line
no foul
situations.
For defense too many. The 11th player was the player that was running off the field. 2nd down.
You know,
More of a bigger body in those situations.
2nd and 4. McCoy stuffed. And that's a concern of yours, isn't it, about McCoy? It is a 3rd and 3. First play, 2nd quarter. Taylor to McCoy. He's got the first down. And he got a nice block from Jordan Matthews, which gave him an additional 10 yards. And Tolbert in.
180. Where's that?
4 in the secondary for the Jets, and Tolbert tries to bowling ball his way down to the 33. Hit by a couple, including that good-looking rookie Jamal Adams. Out of
The right DNA, and Mike Tolbert has it.
2nd and 10. Tolbert here. This drive started back at the Buffalo 23.
Where's that?
Tolbert. Dawkins with the block, the left tackle. Look at him. Hop his way into the secondary. Brought down by Brooks. 14-yard pickup. As I said, Deion Dawkins is in now. 2 tight ends, 1st and goal, McCoy.
180. Where's that?
Fullback DeMarco. Blocked by Dawkins. This is DeMarco, the former Falcon.
This is a good matchup down here. McCoy on the linebacker.
You see it. Taylor sees it. Touchdown. But it goes to Clay. 1-yard touchdown throw.
Well, you look at Charles Clay, the leading receiver for the Bills a season ago with 54 receptions. He's just working on the rookie, Marcus May.
Jets and the extra point coming up here from Stephen Hauschka. He replaces Dan Carpenter. And deep back for the Jets will be Khalif Raymond. Out of the end zone, touchback to the 25.
There you go.
It is Forte, and he drops it. 2nd down and 10.
180.
Curse on the move.
Bring that.
McCown caught. That's grabbed by Tomlinson downfield. The tight end, Eric Tomlinson from UTEP.
And it starts in the back end with those safeties.
Powell in, as was Forte, and here they go with him with the block ahead by Carpenter.
We appreciate his journey. He's a smart guy who knows what to do in critical situations.
Look out! On second down and 1, they came from the wing. Jordan Poyer. 3rd and 12. And he's got it on the fly, caught by Curse. That great catch.
He can play in the slot. He's got good leaping skills, and he's a tough tackle with the ball in his hands.
Forte is in. 1st and 10. Redwell with a beat out Lorenzo Alexander. He's an 11-year veteran.
By the way, that was one of the iconic Kevin Harlan calls.
Powell is in second, 11. Tomlinson outside. Redwell by Poyer.
Checkdowns won't kill you.
3rd and 11 into the nickel.
Just can't take a sack.
Underneath. Curse. Redwell. He'll try a 48-yard field goal and get the Jets on the board, and that's exactly what he does. And the ensuing kickoff here, opening weekend in Buffalo. Brandon Tate is back, and this goes out of the end zone. Touchback to the 25. It'll be a 1st and 10 for the Buffalo Bills. McCoy in the backfield. Wide open, Charles Clay. Concussion protocol the last couple of weeks. So big hole for McCoy into the secondary. A 20-yard gain, last time a 23-yard burst, 1st and 10. And LaShawn once again. 11. Tolbert in. Off the block from Mills, but read real well.
Holding. Offense number 79. 10-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Their lack of experience, Jamal Adams, Marcus May, they play like veterans. They act like veterans.
2nd down, 21. That's a veteran move right there. Throw it out. Nothing there. Tolbert in. 3rd and 21. With a nice tackle on the side by Dylan Donahue, who's a rookie out of West Georgia, and a gain of 3. Going to try a 46-yarder. And look at that. Curve. Wow.
Accuracy and touch from the pocket.
No tight end. 2 running backs. 1st and 10, good block by Powell. Again, another drop. That's a second drop by Forte out of the backfield.
Important. Austin Seferian-Jenkins suspended the first 2 games. They need a body like that in the middle of the field.
Will Tye is the tight end now. McCown with a 3rd and 6. Blocked by Tye, right on the money, and again in the middle, they flank Curse. Powell was in, 1st and 10. Bilal Powell changes his way. Hubbard jumps on him near the 45, and Hubbard with the tackle.
Holding. Defense number 92. 5-yard penalty from the end of the run. Automatic. 1st down.
Rich, they were
week in and week out.
Powell 1st and 10. Looks the deck. Humber's now had like 4 consecutive down and 8. 2-minute warning. Jets have 3 timeouts. Another completion. He's had a good day. Willie Tye, the former New York Giant, wrestled out of bounds by Humber. That is a gain of 6. The way is back on the sideline, wrapped left elbow. Tye remains. 3rd and 2. Avoiding, running, and tossing it away. Wind and the Telltales are limp. 52-yard try. This is good. Here's the kickoff. Captain Zero. Out of the end zone, big leg. 25. Taylor. Screen. McCoy. Tripped up Redwell. 2nd down, 15. Corey Glenn back at that left tackle. This is McCoy, and falling on him is Buster Screen.
They don't convert here. The Jets call timeout quickly.
McCoy in, congested pocket, going deep, a little bump, and there goes a flag, and it's going to be on Morris Claiborne as they're going deep that time for Andre Holmes.
Pass interference. Defense, number 21. The ball replaces the foul. Automatic. 1st down.
We like these taller receivers. Andre Holmes is 6'4", but there's really no need for that.
That's when Holmes is on the practice squad for Dallas. 24-yard penalty in essence, 1st and 10. Knocked away, Clay. Looked like a football not calling incomplete. Corey again, he's open. And that was slowed down there by Josh Martin.
Make a difference.
McCoy stays 3rd and 16. On the cross, Clay. There's a hard time holding on to the ball. Bills have already taken one timeout, and now they're going to take a look at that. And see if indeed it was a reception.
I don't think he ever had it, Kevin. I think it came out so quick.
After review, the ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. The receiver did not complete the process of a catch. The ball came out before he had 2 feet down. Clock operator, will you please reset the game clock to 39 seconds, please? 39.
The field goals. The big play was a touchdown pass to Clay. End zone interception by the Jets on the first possession, and this will not be within the grasp of Jones to punch it back. 52-yard punt back.
Really sputtered in the second quarter.
And they'll run out the clock. Jets and Bills, rebuild mode in game 1 right here. Rich, I know they're kind of joking about this, but the winner of this game, with the Dolphins not playing and the Patriots losing on Thursday, the winner of this game will be in first place after a week in the division.
Yeah, really, and it's, hey, look, great opportunity for both these teams to get off to a good start, Kevin. You got to be pleased, I think, if you're Todd Bowles in terms of how your team came out and handled this situation.
So here we go to begin the second half. Stephen Hauschka. He'll send it to Raymond, and he'll take it from about the goal line for the New York Jets. And out to near the 25, 24-yard line. Impressive. He's been sacked once. 1st and 10. Grabbed and brought down nicely by Shaq Lawson. High pick out of Clemson.
It's where they've spent their money up front with that defensive line.
With a 2nd down and 10. Reaching with the block at that tackle. Powell will get down under. Out to near the 34, 33-yard line. Stewart in motion. 5 in the secondary. McCown. And they get the first down with a staggering catch, and Powell was right there. The work.
Holding Cass, I think he threw for almost 450 yards in that one.
This is Forte on 1st and 10.
Not exactly sure how they're going to respond in a critical situation.
2nd and 9, screen pass, dropped by Powell. It was not caught. It was blown dead. It's incomplete.
Sean McDermott shown a lot of 4-man rushes as you see a bunch of defenders up the line of scrimmage, but mostly it's been 4-man rush.
Blocked by Powell. Deflected incomplete. Poyer almost lassoed that pass. 7th round pick last year out of Sam Houston State. And he'll let this one fly.
That's a shank.
It is. Fly was a generous description.
Looks like one of your 4 irons, Kevin.
It was 131. He's thrown a pick in the end zone, a touchdown, sacked twice on 1st and 10. LeSean McCoy. Tyrod Taylor with his 2nd down and 9, going deep and looking for his new receiver, Jordan Matthews, who
reps together. That's very difficult.
39 here. Taylor on the move, zigzags his way shy of the first down. By Taylor 2. Believe Raymond is back. Cutting Schmidt. Minimal wind. Into the sun. Nicely played. Special teams coming down with the Define Wet. A lot of great things to eat in this terrific city. 1st down and 10. This is Matt Forte after the Buffalo Bill punt
in this game.
Down 2nd down and 10 into the 43 of the Buffalo Bills, and almost picked off by Tre'Davious White, the rookie out of LSU. 3rd and 10. Forte a block. That is caught by Anderson.
Every single snap.
There's a 5-time Pro Bowl. Also has 5 kids, ages 10 to 2. Nice punt. Tate from the 17. Got a block in the play from Sharice Wright, and he finds some room up the sideline near the 40-yard line. Each team has had it once here in the second half, and each team has punted. Tyrod Taylor, 1st and 10 after the 19-yard punt return. LaShawn McCoy, it's the son of the coach. See a lot of that, 2nd down and 10. Tyrod Taylor, oh, look at who he's got. Curse! All right, Matthews the other way.
He's a big player, Kevin, to be able to move inside and function and play in the slot.
My apologies for the missed call there. I was reading that McDermott thing. There's a nice handoff to LaShawn McCoy. 2nd and 8 right here. And Taylor throws away. He's been pretty good at that. Jordan Mills had the block at that right tackle, and that goes about 4 rows up. 3rd down 8. Taylor liftily moves up. So difficult here to the pylon. Shy and out of bounds at about the 2.
Huge factor in the running game.
1st and goal. Little chip there by the running back and a backpedaling touchdown, Andre Holmes. And a second 1-yard touchdown pass by Tyrod Taylor.
And he kind of gets lost in the shuffle. Andre Holmes, it's kind of hard when you think about a guy that's 6'4", but good design there and good sell.
Hauschka with the extra point try. 15-6. The ensuing kickoff. Raymond Orton sail away to the 25-yard line with Forte. Really Ty back there with him. Offers a block. Best run today by Matt Forte. With a 2nd down and 2, McCown. That's grabbed by Robbie Anderson.
Bunch sets. Saw a lot of it from the Jets in the preseason.
1st and 10. Nice catch right there by Jermaine Kearse. But he's inactive with that sprained knee, not quite there. Maybe another week, but Hackenberg is the backup. 1st and 10. And out of the backfield, Willie Ty. 2nd and 2. Puts him a block at that left tackle again with the lunging touch by Kearse. Gain of 5 and hit by a couple, including Humber. Whitmer and I were in Foxborough for Thursday. Chiefs and Patriots with the run right there by Powell. 2nd down 9 to bring the heat. Hughes is blocked, and on the move they got Ty. How about receptions last year for the tight end? What they're doing now? 1st and goal. No catch over the pylon, and it is out at the 1 by Ardarius Stewart, the rookie from Alabama. Oh, they called a touchdown. He flew while inbounds over the pylon and in. With New York.
After review, the runner stepped out of bounds before he broke the play in the goal line. The ball he placed at the 1-yard line. It will be 2nd and goal. Will the clock operator please reset the game clock to 2:31, please? 2:31.
Oh, was it? And he floats one for Kearse. And the coverage on the play by rookie Tre'Davious White.
Down in this part of the field.
Anderson in motion. Here comes McCown. Looks for Powell. And he is shy. McCown, touchdown. A 1-yard touchdown quarterback sneak by 38-year-old Josh McCown.
Look at the push up front. You see Johnson, you see Winters.
And intercepted. Flag is thrown. Picked off by Humber.
Pass interference. Offense number 18. That penalty is declined. The result of play is a try is no good.
Throwing it well, particularly Josh McCown. Kevin, 22 of 29, 167 yards. The most important thing, no interceptions.
Tate. At about the 19-yard line is where he's knocked out of bounds. Picked off in the end zone. There was a push by the Jets in the subsequent possession and a 2-point game for the leading Buffalo Bills. Incomplete looking for McCoy.
Quarterback keep game with the boots, the nakeds, and the rolls.
Here's a 2nd and 10 handoff, and look at McCoy. Second half, a lot in the first. 3rd and 2. Got him. That is caught by McCoy.
For LaShawn McCoy out of the backfield in the passing game.
Tolbert is in now. Here's his first play of the second half, and stuffed, as you can see, by Leonard Williams. You start the fourth quarter. Second down and 9. McCoy hits the hole hard, breaking tackles and into the secondary. Screen got him, grabbed by May. 27-yard burst by LaShawn McCoy.
180.
And Tolbert tries to find some room.
Nasty offensive line that can come off on the ball.
Pinella's in second down and 10. This is the tight end, Nick O'Leary. And out of bounds. McCoy in, first and goal. LaShawn McCoy slicing to the 1. Gain of 3.
180.
Second and goal at the 1. Tolbert. Touchdown.
Well, it's nice to have a 5'9", 250-pound running back that can go in there and lower his shoulder. And
Skill will try the extra point in 12:47 to go. That is through 21-12. The Buffalo Bills with the rushing touchdown. Who was being looked at in the tent on the sideline. A new way for physicians, trainers to examine injured players. The kickoff after the 1-yard Tolbert touchdown run. Both Forte and Powell in for Josh McCown. We had a 1-yard quarterback sneak last time we saw him out of the backfield, swinging it out to Powell. On first and 10.
there's less distraction.
Right there.
I think it's a great idea.
Second down 9.
Attempts from Josh McCown in the preseason.
Third down 7. Powell. Big hole, first down, and then some. Down and 10. Powell just had a run of 11. McCown and Curse.
He said they had the uncertainty of the quarterback position. He said, I didn't care who the quarterback was. I like challenges.
Forte in the backfield. Double teamed, incomplete, looking for Curse. Wright was there. He's taking the place of Gaines.
Holding, offense, number 68. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
Kelvin Beachum. Lachlan Edwards.
What's a good-looking punt.
Boy at the 9 and bounces down to the 4-yard line. That got a great bounce.
He's been such a difference maker for the Bills today, Kevin.
104 on the ground, 49 yards through the air on 5 catches. Here he is on first and 10, and falling on him is Mike Pinnell.
On the backside.
Second down and 8 here. Nice tackle coming up. The rookie Jamal Adams shot through like a rocket and throws him for a 1-yard loss. Carolina State, Justin Burris, who had the end zone interception for the Jets to begin things. Here's a 3rd and 9. Clay. There's Adams again. Rushes him out of bounds. Gain of 4. Colton Schmidt will punt. Bad snap by Reed Ferguson. Bobbled by Khalif Raymond with a hang time of only 4-1. But look at him shed people and find the corner and get the block and take it into Buffalo territory. But he has racked him up in the past, and a worthy cause for him. First and 10. McCown right on the screws, maybe a little bit low and incomplete, and bobbled on the play.
This West Coast style of football is all about being a rhythm passer.
Second and 10. Powell. Drilled on the play by Humber. Humber is leading the team in tackles. He's been terrific today.
You see Josh McCown changing the protection up front.
Off the corner they come. And they go up for it. Was it picked off? Although Anderson comes up with the ball. And Poyer was there. The tie goes to the receiver. It's
On the field is an interception by the defense. First down, Buffalo.
Well, He looks like he has possession, and he's got it cradled and secured against his chest.
After review, the call on the field stands. It's Buffalo's ball. First down.
Comes down in the hands of Jordan Poyer.
First and 10, McCoy slithering. Second down and 2.
180.
They get second down and 5. Here comes McCoy. Nice tackle, aggressively brought down by Darren Lee. 3rd and 7. That play was destined for nothing. Zay Jones was getting in the area. It's the rookie.
And some front office folks and coaches, but you're really trying to change the culture and the environment. They haven't made the playoffs in 17 seasons.
Schmidt and Khalif Freeman will fall on the ball as it ricochets. First and 10 at their own 42. Colin, that was deflected. Nice play in front there by Shaq Lawson. Forte in the backfield, second down and 10 to go to Will Tye. Look at him spin off bodies and corkscrew his way up near midfield.
Well, good effort.
It was, gain of 8. Let's see what John Hussey tells us.
Hands to the face. Offense, number 67. 10-yard penalty, second down.
And that whistles over the head of his receiver. That was Darius Stewart. Darius' name all day long. He just walked to the sideline. 3rd and 20 here. On that Buffalo defensive line. Pressure. Wide open. Forte. Brandon Tate. Oh, wow. Time to play.
Well, the fantasy owner's pretty happy, Kevin, if you got LaShawn McCoy.
2 timeouts the Jets. They just took one. Tolbert is in. Here he gets the call. He had a 1-yard touchdown run earlier. And McClendon, who's back in there. Good sign for the Jets on that defensive line. McCoy back in. 3rd and 8. Take to McCoy. Here comes Taylor. He hasn't run all that much today. When he has, he's been effective. He slides shy of the first. He got to the 28. No, he got the first down. He got it by a yard. He's Taylor from Virginia Tech. Played for Frank Beamer. Handoff here goes to LaShawn McCoy. Over 100 yards on the ground and a pickup of 3. And he takes it to the 32.
And if all the way down inside 3.
This is McCoy. And grabbed by Stanford. Flag has been thrown.
Holding. Offense, number 64. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
Richie Incognito. Second down, 17. Although they stop him there. Cars as Matt uses his motion.
The vintage cars. Can I collect a lot of cars from the 50s and the 60s?
3rd and 17.
I wouldn't mind having a Pierce Arrow, with which he has to work. And even though they tried to do that today, McCoy still found ways to make big runs.
Jets just used their final timeout. Raymond comes under it. One time, 2-4-6 and Colton Schmidt's Buffalo Bills punt.
Down the middle of the field, and I think that really has to do with their personnel right now, tight end and wide receiver.
McCown hit hard as he throws. It's picked off on the play. And grabbed by Micah Hyde. Fresh off a 5-year, $30 million contract. Second interception thrown by Josh McCown. That seals it for the Buffalo Bills. The Jets out of timeouts. Playing this week because of Hurricane Irma.
Not a good decision, obviously, by Josh McCown. He gets a little bit of push up in his face, but Eckler, he's got great ball skills.
Green Bay liked him too. They didn't want to lose him. Front office, new general manager. Second down and 11 here. Brandon Beane is the GM for the Bills now.
Easy when there's constant change around a young quarterback. We talked about 4th different system for him in 4 years. 3rd different coordinator here in Buffalo. He's bought in. He's bought in. He's learned the system. And they feel like that he's got a huge upside here in Buffalo.
In his NFL head coaching debut, Sean McDermott comes out a winner. As the Buffalo Bills will beat the New York Jets 21-12. Tyrod Taylor threw 2 one-yard touchdown throws, one to Clay, One to Holmes, and Tolbert had a 1-yard touchdown run. But the story here was LaShawn McCoy, who was terrific with 111 rushing yards and 5 receptions.